The peaceful Earth was suddenly attacked by monsters from another dimension, turning human life into a living hell. However, the heavens did not abandon humanity. One day, mysterious marks appeared on the backs of everyone's hands. These marks allowed the chosen ones to awaken unique and extraordinary professions. This marked a turning point for humanity. A new era began, the era of the class shifter. Becoming a class shifter was a great honor and granted high social status. Among the 10% who became class shifters, there were only 3 people worldwide with the mythic level profession. They were Alpha Ghostblade from the United States, Restivu the Hell Dragon Rider from Russia, and Quanji Xian the Frost Mage King from the Frost Kingdom. With their powerful mythical abilities, it's no wonder that the United States, Russia, and the Frost Kingdom developed faster and conquered territories more quickly than other countries. 100 years ago in the Dragon Kingdom, there was a genius named Xiao Luo. At that time, Xiao Luo was the strongest class shifter and took only 10 years to set the highest record in the kingdom. Xiao Luo even became the first person to pass through the 70th other dimension. However, fate had other plans. When the 9th-ranked strongest monster attacked Earth, Xiao Luo fell while defending the spatial gate connecting the other dimension to Earth. He sacrificed his life to protect the Dragon Kingdom from the unending monster invasion. Now, 100 years have passed since Xiao Luo's death. Today, the strongest class shifters from the Dragon Kingdom gathered in the capital to attend the memorial ceremony. They came to honor the hero's contributions and sacrifices. At that moment, a news anchor on television announced some exciting news. Statistics showed that this year the Dragon Kingdom had 350,000 class shifters, an increase of 11.3% from the previous year. This was the highest record since the appearance of the other dimension 110 years ago. Currently, 10% of the entire kingdom's population had become class shifters, far exceeding the numbers during Xiao Luo's time. Seeing this development, hope began to grow in the people's hearts. They believed that they might witness the birth of the next Xiao Luo. On the same night, in a shabby apartment, Xiao Luo awoke with a start upon hearing the system message buzzing in his ear. The system announced that the main gate to the other dimension would soon open and all class shifters were asked to prepare. He hurriedly got out of bed, feeling confused. He was sure it was time to face the monster invasion, but somehow he woke up in an unfamiliar place. Suddenly, a sharp pain struck his head, and memories from the young man's body began flooding into his mind. Xiao Luo remembered how Zhang Yu had been dumped by his girlfriend for being a class shifter with a profession deemed worthless. The hospital also pressured him to pay his sister's medical bills, or she would be discharged. Feeling guilty, Zhang Yu apologized to his sister for not being able to save her. At that time, Zhang Yu felt that beast tamer was a useless profession for someone poor like him because he would likely die if he went to the other dimension. Desperate, Zhang Yu decided to end his life. However, who would have thought that his body would become a vessel for the reincarnation of a legendary figure known as Xiao Luo? Xiao Luo was initially incredulous to find himself reincarnated into the body of a young man with the exact same name as him. The difference was that Xiao Luo had once been a top-class shifter, while Zhang Yu was a failure in life. Nevertheless, Xiao Luo understood why the beast tamer profession was looked down upon by everyone. A beast tamer relied heavily on their pets for battle. In addition to leveling up themselves, they also had to increase the strength of their pets, which required a lot of ability power. Analysts had once stated that to raise a powerful pet, a beast tamer would need wealth equivalent to an entire country to hire an elite resource-gathering team. That's why for ordinary people, becoming a beast tamer was considered a waste. Xiao Luo stood in front of a mirror, looking at Zhang Yu's face. He promised to take on all of Zhang Yu's responsibilities and regrets as a way of repaying the kindness of being allowed to use his body. Xiao Luo was determined to conquer the other dimension and make those who belittled Zhang Yu bow before him. Not long after, the system announced that the main gate to the other dimension would soon open. Xiao Luo then pressed the mysterious button on his hand and opened the spatial gate to the other dimension. Before arriving in the other dimension, the system made final adjustments to Zhang Yu's status. The system detected that Xiao Luo had been offline for 36,000 days and awarded him 221,666,496,000 ability power points. The system also congratulated Xiao Luo for being the first to stop the 9th-ranked monster invasion and complete the mythic level achievement. As a reward, Xiao Luo received a mythic level gift box that increased ability power gains by 10,000 times when hunting monsters or completing special missions. Xiao Luo also received additional ability power rewards, bringing his total to 2 quadrillion points. He was shocked at the massive reward he received for stopping the world's strongest monster wave. The system also gave Xiao Luo the opportunity to reselect his profession from 7 advanced mythic level options, such as Undead Knight, Dark Swordsman, Shadow Reaper, Divine Priest, Hellfire Mage, Spectral Hunter, or Necromancer. Having been an epic level warrior class shifter in his past life, Xiao Luo knew well that the beast tamer was the strongest profession if one had plenty of ability power. Therefore, Xiao Luo chose the necromancer profession, which was an advanced form of the beast tamer, without hesitation. The system once again congratulated Xiao Luo for becoming the 4th mythic level class shifter in the other dimension. Xiao Luo was stunned when he received 100 stars at the start of his profession as a necromancer. A necromancer was a primary mythic level profession that relied on magical power. At the beginning of the profession, a necromancer had 3 passive skills. The first was Harvest Soul, which allowed the necromancer to harvest the souls of monsters with a 1% chance and turn them into personal pets or food for other pets. The second was Spectre Evolution, where pets could evolve to the mythic level by consuming similar pets. The third was Death Reduction, which reduced the XP needed to level up a necromancer's pet by 50%. Being a necromancer was apparently easier than being a beast tamer. This was because a beast tamer's pets could usually only be enhanced if they received rewards from rare missions, making it quite challenging to increase their capabilities. Xiao Luo was surprised to learn that a necromancer could not only make their pets stronger but also tame other monsters to become new pets. In his previous life, Xiao Luo had only used epic level class shifter power to explore 70 other dimensions in 10 years and become the greatest in the Dragon Kingdom. However, in this life, Xiao Luo started again not as an epic level class shifter but at the mythic level. He was determined to conquer every other dimension perfectly and become the strongest in the entire world, not just in the Dragon Kingdom. In short, Xiao Luo had already arrived in the first level of the other dimension. The location was adjusted by the system based on Xiao Luo's login spot, which was in Doomsday Town. The system also warned that fighting was prohibited in safe zones. Before entering Doomsday Town, the system asked if Xiao Luo still wanted to use the name Xiao Luo. If not, Xiao Luo could specify his new nickname. Xiao Luo declared that in this life, he did not want to use the name Xiao Luo anymore. He chose a new name, Zero. Xiao Luo felt that in this life, he was destined to surpass his past self, and for him, the only thing beyond all that was Zero. The scenery in Doomsday Town was filled with novice-class shifters. Some were amazed at how the other dimension resembled the real world, others were curious about the unique monsters of the other dimension, while others mentioned that they were in a safe zone and that the monsters were outside the safe zone. Suddenly, they were startled by the announcement of the first-level other dimension mission on their mission panels. As soon as the first mission appeared, the novice-class shifters immediately started looking for teammates to form a team, but Zhang Yu seemed more relaxed. Zhang Yu chose to open the mission and read it. His first mission was to kill 1,000 monsters in the first level of the other dimension, while the second mission was to collect 10 silver coins by killing monsters or completing missions. After completing these 2 missions, Zhang Yu could activate the teleportation tunnel to the first level boss's location. If he managed to defeat the boss monster there, Zhang Yu would gain access to move on to the second level of the dimension. However, before hunting monsters, Zhang Yu planned to buy equipment at the equipment store. Zhang Yu was warmly welcomed by the store owner, who immediately asked what he needed. Zhang Yu noticed that the store was still the same as before, only selling a few basic items and the best equipment being only 1 star. Seeing Zhang Yu's dissatisfied expression, the store owner offered higher quality equipment, but it required more copper coins. Without hesitation, Zhang Yu bought a 1-star magic wand for 100 copper coins. This decision puzzled the other class shifters. They knew that the starter reward was only 100 copper coins, but Zhang Yu spent it all on a magic wand. A 1-star magic wand didn't add much attack power, so it wasn't recommended for beginners. They advised Zhang Yu to buy a set of basic equipment instead of a magic wand. However, Zhang Yu ignored them and headed straight to the monster location. A woman tried to defend Zhang Yu's decision. According to her, although it was only 1 star, the weapon could be upgraded to enhance its attack power. The man agreed, but upgrading weapons required a lot of ability power, which could only be obtained from hunting monsters. Unfortunately, obtaining ability power was not easy, out of 100 monsters defeated, one might only gain one ability power. Even one ability power wasn't enough to upgrade the quality of a one-star weapon. They mocked Zhang Yu for spending all his coins on a single weapon instead of buying defensive gear. They were sure Zhang Yu would struggle when facing many monsters. One of them even called Zhang Yu a fool with no experience, stating that it was impossible to do anything without money, whether in the real world or the other dimension. They didn't know that the person they were insulting was once the strongest class shifter in the Dragon Kingdom. Zhang Yu understood that beginners shouldn't spend all their coins on one-star equipment because the ability power from hunting monsters was very limited. So, it would be difficult to upgrade low-quality gear. The blazing fire wand that Zhang Yu bought only had 5 points of magic power, but the beginners who mocked him didn't know that Zhang Yu possessed 2 quadrillion ability power. Zhang Yu decided to upgrade the quality of his wand using the ability power he had. Each point of ability power used provided a 10% chance of enhancing green attributes. The higher the attribute, the more expensive the cost and the lower the chance of success. The system then asked if Zhang Yu wanted to continue. Zhang Yu firmly commanded the system to keep upgrading the wand until it reached the highest quality. Although there was a chance of failure, after 132 attempts and using 985 ability power points, Zhang Yu successfully upgraded the wand to the highest level. The wand transformed into the Blazing Pioneer magic wand with gold attributes. This magic wand could be used by both mages and beastmasters. Its magic power increased to 26 points with an additional 2 points of intelligence. The wand also had a passive skill where, upon attacking, enemies would burn for 3 seconds and lose 20 HP per second. After completing all his preparations, Zhang Yu declared that he was ready to eradicate the monsters. It is worth noting that Zhang Yu's intelligence attribute affected his pet's attacks, the agility attribute affected critical and attack speed, the mental strength attribute affected mana capacity, the stamina attribute affected physical defense, and the physical attribute influenced the impact of received attacks. The first level of the other dimension is a place that holds unimaginable nightmares for beginner shifters. A dark and terrifying forest filled with horrifying monsters ready to tear apart anyone who dares set foot there. In the midst of the oppressive darkness, a man appeared overwhelmed by an enraged giant red. The monster seemed untouchable with an HP as thick as steel, impossible to penetrate with ordinary attacks. The man knew that one strike from the terrifying creature would take his life in an instant. Suddenly, a fireball shot out like a meteor, striking the giant red with explosive force. The monster died instantly, leaving its corpse lying on the ground. It turned out that the fireball came from Zhang Yu. With the death of the giant red, Zhang Yu gained 2 XP points and 10,000 ability power thanks to a buff that doubled his earnings. An impossible achievement for a regular shifter class that usually needs to work together to defeat a monster of that level. The man who had struggled against the giant red was stunned upon seeing the damage from Zhang Yu's attack. His companions speculated that Zhang Yu must be an experienced shifter class, especially since he wielded a weapon with golden attributes. However, the man dismissed the speculation, as it was illogical for a beginner to have that much ability power to enhance a staff to the golden level. In the end, they agreed that Zhang Yu must be a big boss or a wealthy person. While they were still curious about him, Zhang Yu planned to hunt higher-level monsters to maximize his XP gains. The first level of the other dimension is home to terrifying monsters like the poison spider, armor scorpion, and frenzy wild boar. But the most feared of them all was the ruler of these monsters, the wild boar king. After a moment's thought, Zhang Yu decided to hunt level 3 monsters in the abandoned factory. However, as he was about to leave, the man invited him to join their team, which consisted of a healer, a tank, and a DPS. Zhang Yu firmly declined the offer and walked away. The man immediately asked his companions if they also felt the terrifying aura stronger than the monsters emanating from that person. They agreed, but suddenly one of the girls informed them that Zhang Yu was heading towards the abandoned factory, known for its extremely dangerous high-level monsters. The girl suspected that Zhang Yu intended to face these terrifying monsters alone. But that was the path chosen by a big boss, different from ordinary people like them. On the way to the abandoned factory, Zhang Yu relied solely on fireballs to take down several giant reds and poison spiders that blocked his path. With each monster defeated, Zhang Yu gained XP points and ability power. His level rose to level 2, granting increases in vitality and mana attributes, as well as a bonus of 6 attribute points. Since his XP was nearing the limit of level 2, Zhan Yu planned to reach level 3 by defeating a poison spider. Upon reaching level 3, as usual, Zhan Yu would receive increases in vitality and mana attributes, along with additional attribute points. The place was a complete mess, with monster corpses of various kinds strewn about. Who would have thought that all this chaos was caused by a shifter class wielding only a staff without a single defensive item? With this achievement, Zhan Yu unlocked the first skill slot and obtained a basic skill called Tiny Fireball. As in typical RPG games, players usually unlock skill slots at early levels. However, Zhan Yu did not expect to receive a reward of advancing to the mythic level shifter class, even 6 times higher than the epic level shifter class. Just by reaching level 3, Zhan Yu had already gained 18 free attribute points. Zhan Yu's admiration was understandable, as he had previously only achieved the epic level shifter class, which was 2 levels below mythic. Since the early development path of a beasttimer was similar to that of a mage, Zhan Yu decided to enhance his intelligence, agility, and mental strength attributes. As an experienced shifter class, Zhan Yu knew very well that he needed to minimize skill casting time, stabilize damage output, and improve his agility. Zhan Yu understood that for early skills, a normal shifter class with very limited ability points would not usually waste points on enhancing the Tiny Fireball skill. This was because they would not have enough ability power points. However, Zhan Yu had an extraordinarily large amount of ability power, even reaching 2 quadrillion, so leveling up even a seemingly useless skill wouldn't be detrimental to him. In fact, it would provide an advantage in the early stages of his level development and make it easier for him to farm XP points. Zhan Yu eventually decided to max out the Tiny Fireball skill. After spending 70 ability power points, the Tiny Fireball skill reached its maximum level and transformed into Ultra Fireball with an A rating. The system also reminded Zhan Yu to enhance the Ultra Fireball skill after his second profession change. The Fireball skill, which originally dealt minor damage, now had the ability to deal up to 140% attack output and even applied burn damage, reducing the enemy's HP by 6% per second. Zhan Yu assumed that with his level progression rate, he should have reached level 8 after completing 2 missions in this first level dimension. According to him, level 8 was more than enough to defeat the monster boss in this dimension. While contemplating his level increase, Zhan Yu suddenly heard the sound of someone groaning in pain from inside the abandoned factory in front of him. Without hesitation, Zhan Yu opened the factory's entrance. After all, his goal had been to reach that factory from the start. Inside, Zhan Yu found an NPC who appeared to be severely injured. It should be noted that the NPCs in this dimension were not system-generated but native inhabitants, much like in Isekai. If that NPC died, they would truly die because this dimension was their own world. Zhan Yu understood that death for a shifter class here was real. There was no difference between the real world and this NPC world. The injured NPC then asked Zhan Yu to avenge him by eliminating the scorpion monsters that had killed his wife and child. The NPC's plea immediately triggered a side quest for Zhan Yu. The system quickly confirmed whether Zhan Yu intended to accept the mission. Without hesitation, Zhan Yu accepted the mission because he knew that the items obtained from completing NPC missions were usually far better than items dropped by monsters. The reward Zhan Yu could receive upon completing the mission was a 1-star equipment item. Although the type of item was unclear, there was a chance Zhan Yu would get a much-needed defensive equipment item. Other rewards included 500 XP points, 1 silver coin, and 300 ability power points. In this side mission, Zhan Yu had to eliminate 30 armor scorpion monsters, including their leader, the Scorpion King. Suddenly, Zhan Yu sensed something moving in one of the corners of the factory building. He smiled, realizing that someone else seemed to be watching him. However, Zhan Yu decided to ignore it because his main priority was completing the side mission. The feeling of encountering the armor scorpion still clung to his mind, as if it had happened just yesterday. Zhan Yu was already familiar with the power dynamics of the armor scorpion. The monster had 2 active skills, guard and charge. As the name suggests, the guard skill was used to boost defense, while charge would enhance attack power. Sensing a threat from the human, the monster activated the guard skill, immediately reducing the effectiveness of Zhan Yu's attacks. On the other hand, Zhan Yu quickly grabbed his magic staff to combat the monster. Zhan Yu then unleashed the Ultra Fireball skill on one of the monster's pincers. However, the attack couldn't penetrate the thick shell of the monster. The monster retaliated by activating its charge skill and immediately charged at Zhan Yu. Fortunately, the young man managed to dodge in time and counterattacked with another ultra fireball, which burned the monster to death on the spot. As usual, Zhan Yu automatically received XP points and ability points after defeating the monster. Although he knew that using ultra fireball could quickly deplete his mana, Zhan Yu did not stop attacking the monsters. He still remembered that if someone managed to eliminate a certain number of armor scorpions, it would trigger the appearance of the Scorpion King. Sure enough, the Scorpion King appeared sooner than expected, just as Zhan Yu had hoped. The monster immediately began to destroy the surrounding area with its pincers, which were as large as a human body. Zhan Yu knew he had to defeat the creature quickly before running out of energy. Zhan Yu quickly sought a suitable position to fire his ultra fireball skill, as he needed to maintain a distance from the monster's attack range. Unfortunately, the attack was deflected by one of the monster's pincers. Despite being frustrated that his attack failed to penetrate the enemy's defense, Zhan Yu quickly looked for an opening to target the softer parts of the Scorpion King's body. His efforts paid off, as the ultra fireball he launched managed to wound the monster, along with the passive effect from his staff that inflicted burn damage, reducing the monster's XP every second. Zhan Yu felt lucky to have immobilized the monster just as his mana was running out. He quickly approached the incapacitated monster to deliver the final blow and complete his mission. However, suddenly, an assassin swiftly moved from behind with the intent to finish him off. Not only that, but a warrior, a friend of the assassin, also intended to kill the Scorpion King. They planned to complete the mission by killing the monster that Zhan Yu had weakened. The assassin, who launched the surprise attack on Zhan Yu, was shocked when Zhan Yu easily dodged his attack. "So, you've finally shown yourselves," Zhan Yu's words surprised the assassin. He hadn't expected that Zhan Yu had been aware of his presence all along. As the former strongest shifter class in the kingdom, Zhan Yu naturally knew about groups who did things like eliminating beginners and stealing their prey. What a disgrace. Too bad, you picked the wrong person. The enemies I've fought are millions of times stronger than you, said Zhan Yu. After saying this, Zhan Yu leapt up and unleashed the ultra fireball. The devastating explosion of the ultra fireball instantly incinerated the assassin without mercy. His companion, seeing the horror, immediately panicked. He couldn't believe that Zhan Yu still had mana left after using many skills against the Scorpion King. The man finally realized that the boy with the magic staff was not a beginner. Zhan Yu then taunted him. After all, they wouldn't have shown themselves if he had admitted to being an experienced shifter class. Finally, the long-awaited moment arrived. The system informed Zhan Yu that he had successfully triggered the effect of the necromancer's passive skill called Soul Harvest. The system then asked if Zhan Yu wanted to harvest the Scorpion King and make it his pet. Zhan Yu smiled, feeling lucky to have triggered the necromancer's profession effect early, considering the chances of harvesting a monster and making it a pet were very low, only about 1%. Without hesitation, Zhan Yu harvested the Scorpion King, making it his first pet. As the Scorpion King was resurrected, a dark aura enveloped the surrounding area. This event clearly startled the man. Panic was evident on his face. Essentially, the Scorpion King was a monster excelling in defense, with skills to protect and take attacks for its master on the front line. Whenever Zhan Yu acquired a new pet, the pet's loyalty parameter would automatically reach 100%. However, every time a pet died, its loyalty would decrease by 10 points. The loyalty parameter could not be restored, and when it reached 0 points, the pet would rebel against its master. Despite this, pets could still be strengthened by sacrificing 10 normal-level pets to raise its level to elite. Due to the necromancer's passive skill death reduction, Zhan Yu only needed 5 monsters to upgrade the Scorpion King to the elite level. Zhan Yu understood why it was so difficult for a beast master to develop. Their pets required XP points from the Beastmaster to level up, and the more pets they had, the more resources they needed. This made it nearly impossible for an ordinary Beastmaster to progress. However, Zhan Yu was different. He had abundant ability power and the death reduction passive skill. Therefore, without hesitation, Zhan Yu upgraded his Scorpion King to the highest level. Now, the Scorpion King had reached the maximum level with a new passive skill called Iron Body at level A, which could reduce the effectiveness of enemy attack damage by up to 30%. The man wondered who Zhan Yu really was, as it was impossible for an ordinary Beastmaster to have such power. However, Zhan Yu did not answer such a foolish question. He mentioned that since accepting the mission in Doomsday Village, someone had been secretly watching him. Zhang Yu suspected they were a group of hired assassins disguised to target beginners who moved alone, and it just so happened that Zhang Yu and the group had received the same mission. Zhang Yu guessed they planned to ambush him at the last moment and steal the Scorpion King he had hunted. The man became even more panicked when he realized that Zhang Yu had already sensed his wicked plan. Bad luck enveloped him, knowing that the person they underestimated turned out to be far stronger. Fear began to creep over him, forcing him to think about fleeing immediately or else his life would be at risk. Zhang Yu, with a sinister smile, invited him to run as fast as he could. He wanted to see how far the man could escape from his pet. Just a few steps into his escape, the Scorpion King's massive pincers struck the man, knocking him to the ground. The man knelt, begging for mercy from Zhang Yu. However, Zhang Yu simply reminded him that in this world, the strong prey on the weak. If they dared to prey on others, they should also be prepared to be preyed upon. Without hesitation, the Scorpion King finished off the man after receiving the command from its master. After that, Zhang Yu reported to the NPC at the factory entrance that he had avenged the NPC. The NPC was very happy and, from that day forward, considered Zhang Yu a friend. The system then rewarded Zhang Yu with XP points, a silver coin, and ability power. In addition, the system also gave him several items, such as a magic necklace that increased mana energy attributes and protective shoes that enhanced the wearer's magical and physical defense attributes. Zhang Yu's level also increased to level 4, and he immediately boosted his vitality and mana energy attributes. Zhang Yu felt satisfied with the defense items and additional mana energy that he desperately needed. Therefore, he decided to upgrade the two newly acquired items to the maximum level. The upgrade process for both items required 280 attempts and consumed around 5,000 ability power points. This amount was astounding for a shifter class at the beginning of their profession, considering that to gain even one ability power, they had to kill dozens to hundreds of monsters. The system then congratulated Zhang Yu for acquiring two items with gold attributes, namely the Secret Origin of Magic and the Hero Protection Armor. With these two additional items, Zhang Yu now had a total of 3 items with gold attributes. Zhang Yu smiled contentedly because, with these two additional items, he and the Scorpion King could reach level 5 more quickly. Suddenly, the area notification system announced to all shifter classes that a level 5 hidden dungeon had appeared near Doomsday Village. This hidden dungeon would only last for 1 hour, so the system invited them to go to the dungeon and conquer it. The system also claimed that the first person to conquer the hidden dungeon would receive a very good reward. Other beginner shifter classes might hesitate to go there due to the dungeon's difficulty level. However, Zhang Yu felt that the distance to the level 5 difficulty dungeon was not too far from his current level. He was confident that with his current abilities, along with the two newly obtained gold attribute items, he would be able to become the first person to conquer the dungeon and claim the reward.